like it reads our email automatically, and then what it does is like if there are any link or attachment, what that code does is that it extract those URLs, or let's say it extract those attachments, and it does a scan of that website or attachment. And if it is like kind of malicious, it put a label on that email that okay, warning. So warning means that okay, this mail is something kind of suspicious in nature. So there are a lot of things. If there's any opportunity where that like SOC guys can kind of involve. So having a knowledge of the automation or the machine learning, let's say for this age, is very, very kind of important to kind of excel in your career. This is one of the most important skill right now, apart from kind of obviously documentation and technology, security technology knowledge. Automation and machine learning knowledge is one of the most important thing that can kind of make you a really, what do you say, a team member which everyone will look forward to. Okay, so we need to kind of SOC also to kind of develop those kind of skills. Okay, so let's again come back to the topic. So one of the good actionable metrics, one of the good metrics is the kind of delivery vectors, which we kind of went through. Now, one of the other metrics that we can kind of use is, let's say, unique host with virus detected. So what we can do is that what this metric says. So this metric indicates the effectiveness of kind of prevention mechanism and can help identify the cause of infection, leading to kind of improved control. Okay, so so there are two things which this metrics can kind of help us in kind of letting the kind of, these are the knowledge that leadership can kind of get by kind of understanding, by kind of seeing the metrics related to kind of unique host with virus detected. So let's say there are kind of multiple systems in the company, and let's say there are multiple teams in the company, and let's say there's HR team, there's finance team, and everyone has like different kind of laptops, let's say Windows and Linux. So a matrix can be there where it says that okay, kind of let's say how many Windows laptops were impacted by the known virus, or how many Linux systems were kind of impacted by the known virus. So definitely there will be a trend that okay, Windows laptops were kind of mostly impacted, and then there will be another matrix saying that okay, in the HR team, what were the count of infection? In the finance team, what were the count of infection? Okay, so that will kind of help the leadership know. So let's say there are like there are certain like columns in the X section, in the X and Y axis. Let's say in the X axis there is HR, financial team, and other team mentioned, and then the Y axis it's the count. Let's say count is something. Let me see if there is anything which maybe I can. Okay, so let's say this is the graph. Okay, so in the graph, in the x-axis there is a team name, okay, like HR, finance, let's say a research team, and then there is a count, let's say 5, 10, 100, 200, or 250. Okay, so what we can do is let's say HR count is something over here, finance count is something over here, research and analysis wing count is something over here. So this type of matrix will kind of help the leadership to kind of decide which team needs more kind of security controls in their team, in their company, and how good is also our existing security control that it is able to detect the latest and latest viruses or latest malware on our company organization. Okay, so these are some of the kind of metrics that kind of will are kind of that comes in the good metrics category. Okay, now the other category that the other metrics that kind of that also comes in the good metrics section is actually, let's say, percent of systems with log collection or traffic monitor. Okay, so what this means is that this matrix actually reflects the coverage, okay, and visibility of the network and host level detection capabilities, okay, highlighting the need for increased network and log collection. Okay, so what that means is that this matrix will kind of showcase what let's say the EDR logs. Let's say one of the section, one of the point in the x-axis is like, let's say, EDR. Okay, EDR. So here it will say, let's say, the count. So let's say it will tell us that, okay, there are, let's say, 1,000 systems where EDR is installed. So this will get, and let's say the overall count of our systems that the company has is like, let's say, 3,000. So this will again kind of help the leadership into kind of getting a knowledge that, okay, in an approximate count of 4,000 hosts, we have EDR installed on thousands of systems, and the detection that we got for the unique viruses were actually coming from those systems where EDR are installed. So this will help leadership into kind of again kind of taking some decision that we need to kind of put some more funds and kind of make all the systems, let's say the count is like 4,000. So let's say all 4,000 systems have the EDR installed on that, because if we have those EDR installed on all 4,000, the count of unique, let's say the number of malwares getting detected and all, which it will further be increased, and there will be more better coverage of knowing or having a control of all the systems in the company. Okay, so let's say you are kind of investigating a system, and you need to kind of quickly collect certain logs from the system. Okay, so so one thing is that if there's EDR installed, which is endpoint detection and response tool, for example, let's say Carbon Black. Okay, so what you can do is like you can quickly kind of have a remote access of that system via Carbon Black and download the logs that you need. Okay, so thing is that that's the reason why EDR tools are kind of needed in any company. And if all the systems have the EDR tool, it will help you in achieving three things. First thing is like definitely it will help you in kind of detecting malware or suspicious activity. The other thing that it will help the company in kind of let's say having a control of all the system, having an inventory, an updated inventory of all the system that company owns. So that is one thing, and it will also help the analyst in kind of quickly getting a remote control system and kind of collecting certain different kind of logs which is needed for different kind of investigation. So let's say there's a policy violation. Let's say there's a case of harassment, for an example. So in that case, SOC analyst will quickly kind of log into a system and collect certain, let's say, browser history. So EDR agent, for example, how it is useful in that case. So let's say there's a case of harassment, for example. So what will happen is that EDR has no role over here in kind of detecting any malware in the system, but EDR is used in a different way where it helps the SOC team to kind of get a remote control of the system and fetch certain logs on the system. Let's say the Chrome history browser, or let's say chat logs on the system. Okay, so this is how different ways how EDR tool can kind of help, and having a percentage over here of how much systems are kind of having the kind of has the EDR tools installed, or let's say what's the count of the network devices, let's say IDs and IPs installed on the company network. So these all metrics will actually help the leadership in kind of knowing, okay, where the funds should go and how better is our existing security control is working for the organization. Okay, so this is all about kind of, let's say, the three different kind of good metrics which you can kind of start collecting in an obviously in an automated fashion, and kind of start showcasing to your leadership. Okay, to kind of to help the leadership in understanding how what's the benefit of having SOC team in their company. Okay, so that's all for the good metrics part. Let's see something. One example of, let's say, bad metrics. So one of the metrics that can be a bad example is, let's say, numbers of attacks blocked. Okay, so let's say we have a matrix which says that, okay, there's an X and Y axis, and it says that, okay, on the month of May, let's say we blocked 200 attacks. In the month of April, we blocked 300 attacks. So this is actually something which is kind of which actually will come as one of the